Have you ever run into a situation in the real world where you have the necessity or the requirement to be able to disable traffic being sent on interfaces, and you don't want to do something like shut down the interface? Well, that's exactly what we're going to be talking about in this portion of our presentation, because what I'm going to demonstrate here is the ability to be able to poison our summaries. So what can happen here is, remember, we had a scenario where we created a default summary route, where we were actually creating a summary and taking everything down to 0. Let's take a look at that. So what I'm going to do is, let's see, where am I? We haven't done anything on R1 for a while. Let's take a look and see what interfaces we have here. Show IP, interface, brief, exclude, assigned, and I have my 11s. Now, are my 11s actually being advertised? So let's go to R22 and type show IP route 11.11.0.0, and let's see what we got in the table here, if anything. So show IP route, there's my 11s. They're all being advertised as 24s. Nothing special seems to be going on. My interface is still down on this device, so I need to fix that. So config T, do show IP interface brief E assigned, and serial 2.1 is administratively down. Let's fix that. Interface serial 2.1 no shut. End show IP route 11.11.0.11, and let's wait for it. Show IP route. All right, there they are. Try it one more time. See if my 00 is in here. And it's not. 11.00 is not showing up. So somehow I've messed something up. Let's take a look at this. Show. Actually, it's already on the screen here. So loopback 100 got deleted somehow. So let's go ahead and add that back. Interface LO 100, IP address 11.11.0.11/24. Now let's take a look at it on R2 one more time, see if we have that value in here, which we do. There it is now. So now everything's configured, and I'm going to load share. So trace route to 11.11.0.11, and we can see that we're going to load share across R2 and R3. Exactly what we'd expect. I'll bring my drawing back up here, and I'll re-illustrate that point. So what we're doing is on R1, I'm advertising 8 loopbacks. They're being advertised in this fashion and ultimately ending up on my R22 router, which is in my data center. Now what I want to do here is I'm going to modify the way that we've been doing things. I want to, first of all, advertise all of my individual /24s from 100 to 108, or 107, excuse me, and I want to advertise them as being default routes. Now, the problem here, let's see, do I want to do them as default routes? No. Let's go ahead and do them as just the smallest. So we'll just do them as /8s instead of a default route. That'll work better for us, because I don't want to run any scenarios where we're going to have problems with loops and stuff. So on R1, I'm going to advertise these as /8s. So the way I'm going to do that, remember, this is named mode, show, run, section, router, EIGRP. We are operating in EIGRP named mode. So I need to go to my interface, my address family interface configuration. So here, all I'll do is just punt that. Oh, I need to do it this way. Config T first. Then put it in. And on 00, all I'm going to do is say summary address 11.0.0.0, and I'm going to advertise this as a 255.0.0.0. So it's going to go out as a /8. So let's look at this. I'm going to go ahead and do the same configuration on the AF-interface for fast Ethernet, or excuse me, Ethernet 01, and I'll repeat the same command here. So now, once those come up and reset, what I need to do is just go over to R22 and say show IP route, and take a look and see what I have for 11 in my routing table. There it is. I have a /8. I'm learning it from serial 2.1 and serial 2.0. So with that being said, let me go ahead and get these scribbles off here. Now what I want to do is I want to demonstrate this idea of poisoned. What do I mean by poisoned? Well, poisoned means, first of all, what I did is I said I want to no longer advertise the /24s. So what we're doing is we're advertising this /8 that covers all my /24s to include my loopback 116 that we experimented with in some of the earlier videos. So what we really want to do is we want to say, okay, this is great, but what I want to do is I do not want any traffic to reach any of these interfaces through the interface that's connected to Cat2. So how can I do this and still have everything operational without starting to shut interfaces down? Well, what I'm going to recommend here is we use this idea of a poisoned summary route. Now, the way that this works is, remember, when we summarize, we're automatically blocking all of the more specifics that are embraced by our summary. Now, we can bypass that using the leak map. We talked about that. We demonstrated in the video, and we're going to look at how we can use leak maps further in our conversations when we start talking about stub areas. But the main thing that I want to illustrate at this particular juncture is the fact that I have the option as to whether or not I intend to advertise the summary out of the interface. And if I choose not to, one of the ways that I can do that in EIGRP is by poisoning it. So let's take a look at what's going on. Now, remember, I'm in named mode on R1. So let's take a look at this. So do show CDP neighbors. I want to not advertise any of the summary information or the more specifics on the device connected to Cat2, which means I'm going to be interface E01. So let's go ahead and make sure that we're in the right place. AF-interface Ethernet 01. Now let's look at what's going on here. Now remember, we're in named mode, and there's a reason that I shifted back over to named mode. Let's do some context-sensitive help here. We have the summary address command. So in the configuration using the summary address, this is what we've done to date. Now, what I want to do is I want to take a look at this value right here. Notice I can say a leak map, and let's just say specify a leak map, but I do not have the capability of changing a value here with regard to how we're going to advertise this prefix. In all actuality, well, let's cut over to another device. Let's go over to, say, R22. Now, on R22, config T, do show run interface serial 10 20 21. I have no summaries here, but let's pick one of these interfaces. Interface serial 2.1 and say IP summary address EIGRP 10. Let's just come up with a bogus summary. Let's just say 22.0.0.0.255.0.0.0. And what I want to look at here is notice that I have the capability of specifying leak map. Now, what I'm trying to illustrate here is in the original code, the original iOS code that we had in version 4, we had the capability of being able to specify an administrative distance here. So what would end up happening is that these summary prefixes were actually advertised with a 5 by default, meaning what their actual administrative distance was. Now, what will happen here is I could have come up and said, change this to 255, and by using this idea of 255 for this summary, what ends up happening is that I would say, okay, 255 is unbelievable, therefore I'm going to block the /24s, and I'm no longer going to advertise the summary because it's considered to be a 255, and that means that it's unbelievable, which means it's not going to be placed in our table. That outlines the concept of a poisoned summary. Now, the problem is in iOS 15 code, we don't have the capability of creating it this way, and this is going to be one of those tools that we had in the past that we're not going to be able to leverage in the current deployment of our iOS in the context of routing and switching version 5. All right? So we'll explore this a little bit more later, but I'll see you in those particular presentations. So till then, bye-bye.